Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel, and I want to talk about my favourite time of the year, which is October. I absolutely love the vibes of October. I love the spookiness, the horror, the events that happen, and I love October. So I may be born in November, but October is my favourite month. I love everything spooky, horror. I may be easy to scare, but I still live for it. And although these books aren't horror, these are books that I just class as October being the perfect time to pick these up. And now I'm going to try and convince you to pick these up or add some of these to a TBR in October to get the full effect of fall. Now, there's not many books. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 books, but there are a lot more that I would say is like perfect for October. I mean, some of my books I've added to my TBR, I would say, is perfect for October. So if you want to see what I'm reading in October, check out my last video. But these ones I've read, I've loved, and if I had time to pick them up, I would read these in October just to have that perfect environment, that perfect ambiance. So we're going to start off strong with Ava Reid. I would say anything written by Ava Reid is just, most of her writing is so dark and gothic and atmospheric. I would just say that it's perfect for fall as a whole, so autumn, but also just October specifically, because the way she writes is, again, just so spooky, so dark, so atmospheric, so gothic, and it just is so, it's so perfect for October. It may not be horror, but the way she writes and the way you just become so entrenched in the world, it speaks for itself. It's something that needs to be experienced in October, and I just love Ava Reid's writing. A lot of the books that she's written, I actually have one of her books added to my TBR, which is Juniper and Thorn, which is one of her dark fairy tale retellings. The Wolf and the Woodsman was the first book I picked up by Ava Reid, and ever since then I've just fell in love and I picked up everything she's written. A Study in the Drowning is the most recent book I've picked up by her, and I just love how there's so many elements to this book. There is obviously elements of feminism, but there's also elements of, you know, love and development, and there's so much goes into this in such a small book. And I think A Theory in Drowning is also out now, so if you're interested, I don't know if it's a duology, but this can be read on its own. Like, it's not a huge cliffhanger that you would need the second book of, which is already out, so that doesn't really matter, but the second book is out in this if you wanted to add it to your TBR. Next to add to your TBR is Bonesmith by Nikki Poperetto. This is just the best dark fantasy romance young adult. I probably should have said young adult first, but this is young adult completed duology, and if anything was so coded for October, it is this. You have necromancy, you have ghosts, you have warriors, you have everything that you want in a fantasy, but also with some spooky elements. So we're following Ren, who's the FMC in this book, and all her life all she's wanted to be is a Velker, and which is basically a warrior. But things don't go as planned, and she ends up having to enter the haunted territory, which is this area that no one is allowed to go to because it's just so dangerous, and more people often than not die within that territory, and it's mostly just people that are fully trained that are allowed to go in there. But things don't work out as the way they should have, and she ends up going into the haunted territory and discovers a lot more of what's been hidden from her, and that she needs to bring things to light. She needs to rebel against the institution that raised her, and I really love it. You've got houses that have power, and then you've got a rebellion, and there's just so much in here, and it's just so perfect. And I mean, what could not be more coded for October than ghosts that rise up and necromancers and rebellion and all that stuff. So I really recommend this duology. Now, Nevernight by J. Kristoff. This is an adult fantasy. This isn't a romantasy. This is pretty much a fantasy, and you're following an FMC who is an assassin, and she lives within this guild, and she enters this guild to become the best assassin with her magic of being able to manipulate shadows, live within shadows, and to become the best she has to enter the school and go through a bunch of trials, but things don't go the way she thought it would when a killer ends up rising within the school, and she needs to uncover who it is and stop them before it's too late. And this is perfect. This is a completed trilogy and I absolutely love this. It's perfect. And I mean, assassins, shadow magic, the FMC having the shadow magic, trials, training, and an undercover plot that's starting to emerge with a killer. Say no more. In the veins of the drowning by Casey Cassidy. I mean, you've seen this all over the FYP, you know what it's about, but sirens, I mean, does that not scream October to you, or autumn? I mean, the atmosphere, the environment that we're in and the world we're being led into, it's dark. There are things that are happening and there's a plot to be uncovered and a mystery to be solved and an FMC who has been hidden all her life and used all her life. So this to me just, it is autumn. It is. Now, of course, I can't say 4 recommendations without giving Kerry Lake a moment to shine. I mean, Anathema. This is October in a book. This is gothic, this is dark, this is a fantasy romance, this is atmospheric, is so indulgent. There's a spooky woods that people die if they enter, and there's another realm, and Xander, I mean, dark haired, handsome, 6 foot something guy who has powers. Like, I don't think I need to say any more to convince you to read this, but you need to read this. I am actually about to pick this up to reread this in preparation for reading Eldritch. This is on my Eldritch book 2 in the Eating Woods series. I mean, Eating Woods, October, please. The second book in the Eating Woods series is officially out and I actually got my hands on it. So I am I'm about to read Anathema in preparation for picking up Eldritch, because I want more time in this world. So if that means rereading book 1 to read book 2 and just being fully immersed in this world and having more time with these characters, I will do that. I am so excited. I mean, this is so good. I mean, we're following an FMC and she lives in a town where people scream witches all the time. If you're found to be a witch or if you're suspected to be a witch, you are sacrificed to the Eating Woods. And they do this because no one's actually survived the Eating Woods. There are creatures, it's pitch black, it's not safe, it's overgrown. So if you're discovered to be a witch, they sacrifice you to the Eating Woods. But what they don't know is there is a hidden portal somewhere within the woods that go into an alternate realm, or into another realm, or into another part of their world. I can't really remember that part. But you get sacrificed, and when she goes to save her sister, she ends up... She's always stood out. No one's ever believed she was fully normal. There was just something off about her. And unfortunately there comes a day where she has to enter the Eating Woods and ends up in this alternate realm and within the hands of Xander, who works for this king, and things just go from there. And yeah, it's not a fully good time, but it's also a good time as a reader. So you just need to read this. This is perfect. I'm not going to give tropes. I don't do tropes. I mean, I think sometimes books can have tropes where it's not spoiling the book, but I found that when I've been reading tropes of books before picking up books, I'm waiting for that trope to come out, and I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy the book and then be surprised by when my favorite trope comes up. So I won't be mentioning any tropes, but if you want to, I'm sure you'll be able to find it somewhere. The Unmarked Witch duology by Miranda Lynn. Miranda Lynn's writing, I love Miranda Lynn's writing. I love her books so much. I have literally read this duology and then her new series, which is an interconnected standalone-ish series, and I say ish because the first book is a standalone, the second book was meant to be a standalone but ended up being a duology, and then I think the third book is meant to be a standalone. But this series is so freaking good. I mean, if you want something to fall into, to completely escape reality, to binge read, this is the duology for you. It's such, I want to say, a good fun time, but it's not always a good fun time. It's got ghosts, it's got witches, it's got trials. So her grandmother was killed by the Wicked King, the Dark King, I think he's called. Yes, by the Dark King. So all her life she's hated the Dark King's reign. She's wanted to get vengeance, and in a land where witches are marked in their skin, where witches have marks on their skin to show their power, Raven the FMC does not have marks on her skin, but she is a witch and she does have power. This allows her to go under the radar, but she enters the trials to try and get vengeance. And yeah, as I keep saying, she is in for a hell of a shock when someone surprises her. So yeah, if you want witches, trials, ghosts, heartbreak, this is the book for you. This is the duology for you. And I mean, it's completed, so you don't have to wait for the rest of the series. So, I mean, what else could you want? Now, another queen of fall is Rachel Gillig. Rachel Gillig is just made to be read in autumn. Her writing is just dark, gothic, atmospheric. I've said that a lot today, atmospheric, but it's just, this duology in particular is just so captivating. There's so much that happens. The magic system is complex, but unique, but also quite simple. And it's, if you're like reading at night and you've got a cup of tea, some candles, reading this in that kind of environment, it just is so perfect. It's just, you really get to feel the environment of this book while outside of this book, so your body gets to see the environment and your mind gets to live the environment. And I think it's perfect. I love this. So you've got an FMC who is got a creature, I guess, in her head, and the creature's called Nightmare. And in this world, cards have power. So if you have a card, you end up embodying that power, and her card is Nightmare. But I think something went wrong. So instead of having the card, the spirit ended up being trapped in her head. God, it's been a while since I read this. So she has the Nightmare in her head, which is one of the cards, but she doesn't have that card anymore, and he ends up getting trapped inside her head. And he protects her, he saves her, he speaks to her, and she ends up having to accept this thing in her head to be able to save her kingdom. And yeah, I feel like that's the most I want to say, because this book is so interesting and you really fall into it really, really quickly that you don't really want to know all that much about it, but it's really, really interesting. The magic system alone is just, it's very rare that I read. I don't think I've read a magic system like this. I mean, of course I've read books with tarot magic before, but where you have cards that literally embody that give you power as long as you hold that card. And each card is very different, and some cards are more sought after than others because they give you more power, or the power is more appealing. Yeah, very interesting, and it's completed. So you got one Dark Window and then two Twisted Crowns. And then, of course, her other book, The Night and the Moth, which is her most recent book in the Stonewater Kingdom. I mean, you've probably seen this absolutely everywhere since it recently came out, but Bartholomew, I would die for Bartholomew. He makes me cry so much. He's just so funny. He is the personality of this book. He's the standout of this book. And of course, the FMC and the story also stand out, but Bartholomew, it's just, there's something about him that you just really feel for and you want to see more of. And I mean, it's a gargoyle. It's a stone gargoyle. So that, of course, is perfect for this time of year. But oh, yeah, this series is just, it's on a whole nother level after One Dark Window. It's so good, and it's new adult, I think. So, and she lives in a kind of church, and she is drowned to access the power to be able to give prophecies, and one day, close to fulfilling her time at the church, she's nearing the age where she believes she's meant to be let free, and a new king comes to get his prophecy foretold. But them being there for the prophecy is not the only reason they're there, and they actually have a alternate reason for being there, and she starts to discover that, and she meets a broody knight who does not believe in the gods, and she combats that because she's grown up her whole life believing in the gods and worshipping the gods. So it's very interesting, especially the development of this FMC. You really see her go through it. I still feel like she has a lot of development to go through in book 2, because I feel like with everything she had growing up, I don't think she had the chance to fully understand herself and understand what she wants out of life, and she kind of just fell into the first role that she had available to her. But I do think there's a lot more coming for her, and I do believe, I mean, it's also a duology, so the next book will be the complete, but I do think we'll hopefully get to see her come out of her shell a bit more and understand herself more and have that freedom for herself. Next, Immortal Dark by Tigis Germar. I mean, vampires. There's vampires, and it's not your normal traditional vampires. You're following an FMC, and her family own a house in this community, in this university, but her mum escaped that environment to raise her children outside of that. Her mum dies, her sister disappears, and she gets dragged back to this community and exposed to what it is and what it means to run a house in this community. And she meets a vampire who is her house's vampire, and they just really have this push and pull relationship, and it's not easy. It's incredibly slow burn, but the way that the vampires exist within this community and trying to figure out what they're doing and if they have any sinister plots is very interesting. It's very mysterious. It's very dark academia vibes. And I mean, just this unique take on vampires is so interesting. And I think if you're going to read a vampire read, you should read something different. And I definitely recommend Immortal Dark. I read this in January, and Eternal Rain, which is book 2, will be coming out very, very soon. And I'm so excited to be back in this world and to see their relationship blossom now that they've accepted their role within this world. Last but not least, The Coven by Harper L. Woods. So in this book, you're following a witch who's been raised her entire life to seek vengeance on what happened to her father. Her father has groomed her to be able to take this vengeance on his behalf, and she is accepted into Hollow University, and Hollow University is like the safe place for witches to be able to grow their power, understand their power, learn their power. And I think they only accept 13 students every year, and she is one of them. And she has to navigate being herself, being free from her father, trying to fulfill what her father wants, but also trying to understand the headmaster. And I mean, this is a very juicy, smutty, fun read. If you want something that's really easy to get through, really fun to read, smutty, but also has a good plot, a good world, and is very interesting, I would say The Coven. I love Harper L. Wood's writing when I just want to consume something for the sake of, not for the sake of consuming, but to kind of have like a palate cleanser. If you've read really heavy fantasy, like reading Alchemized, I would probably pick up The Coven, because it doesn't take a whole lot of brain power to understand, and it's still well written, and it's fun, and it just, you get so excited about certain parts, and the twist at the end, I kind of did and did not see that coming, and I mean, it just made it so much better. And then The Cursed is out, and The Damned is coming out this month, I think, and I'm really excited for it. So yeah, those are the books that I recommend in October specifically, but really any time in autumn I think is the perfect time to read it, especially in the UK where it's just really grey and gloomy all the time and cold. Cuddling up on your sofa, in your bed with a blanket and a hot tea and just reading any of these is just perfection. So I hope that this gave you some ideas or added to your TBR. I'm sorry if it's never ending, but unfortunately that is just life as a reader, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.